Apparently, Casey wants to rant about why he's mad at designers and architects. Why? Please tell me why.
Dump it.
For general population out there that doesn't see me, I just spilled a huge glass of water onto my computer. Recording is life. No. Oh God.
Let's see if it still works.
Okay, definitely good. Okay, we're doing this again.
I'm a little upset at some designers, not all designers. I think there's a disconnect. What some designers think we can build for, at least in the custom building world, is not actually possible. I can't tell you the number of calls I've had over the last year where people usually starts with an email and they send me a plan and they say, here's what we want to build, and then I have a conversation with them and I get their budget out of them, and their budget's nowhere near close to what they've designed, unfortunately. Usually, I'm the bearer of bad news in that case. They don't understand why. I know we've actually lost jobs because I've given people a realistic budget and then they've gotten a budget from somebody else and then they've hired that person, and then I've actually had them come back to me and say, yeah, you're right, we couldn't build for that price. I don't know what the solution is or why it's happening, but I think there needs to be something. Read the blog post that I wrote about how much it costs to renovate, and there's also one that says how much does it cost to build a custom home. At least here in Ottawa and Ontario, there is a lot of expenses that even go before the construction aspect. And unless you're going to pick the cheapest finishes possible, it's probably going to cost more than what you think, because you're building custom. So you want certain finishes, you want nice products, you want healthy indoor air quality, you want better windows, you want to make your home comfortable. You're not going to put, for the most part, at least in our experience, you're not going to put vinyl siding on your custom home and cheap carpet and laminate countertops, and at least in our experience, that's not stuff that you're going to do throughout your custom home, right? So
how would an architect or a designer realistically design?
In an ideal world, we do what's called an integrated design process, which is IDP for short. And that means you bring all the parties to the table that are going to be involved. So in the case of a custom home, you're going to have a designer or architect or architectural technologist, whoever's designing your home. Maybe there's an interior designer, could be separate from the architect, right? So you need those people, obviously you as the homeowners. Ideally an energy advisor, at least with the homes that we build, we definitely recommend bringing an energy advisor in. And then you need a general contractor. You want to have all parties at the table and working together. And we need to set a budget that's realistic, and you need to design within that budget. And you can't do that unless you have all the parties at the table. Ultimately, the designer is going to design something that looks good. The energy advisor is going to tell us what needs to be done in order to hit a certain target, energy target, whatever that may be. It doesn't have to be a certain standard, but we want to set a target for how efficient or how healthy or comfortable your home is going to be, right? And we're going to work for that. And then you need your contractor there to tell you the best way to build that, because what looks good may be really difficult, or what looks best, let's say, may be really difficult to build. So you should know that it's going to cost extra to build that. And that's where your general contractor can help. And I get it's difficult because you don't want to hire the general contractor before you see a price, but the general contractor can't price before he has a set of plans, but they can bring, if you trust them, you can bring a lot of advice to that and work with you. And I know it's always the chicken and the egg game, right? You're just gonna ultimately need to find somebody that you trust that's gonna work with you in order to make these decisions. Be realistic about it, right? Not tell you that, oh yeah, you can build that, and then nail you with a bunch of change orders after the fact, or say this wasn't included, or whatever it may be, right? You need somebody, it's a long-term relationship. Bring the parties to the table that you trust, that work well together, and do the IDP, the integrated design process, because that's ultimately how you're going to get the best bang for your buck at the end of the day. You're not going to be paying for something to be redesigned. You're not going to be paying for something that costs more to build. You're going to be hitting the target that you want to hit in terms of the performance and everything. Everybody's going to be working together towards one common goal.
So when you're talking about the realistic budget, I think we get a lot of stigma that as a contractor we'll typically charge more than homeowner things, right? So how do you address someone that has $200,000 but wants a home that's $400,000? How would you go about something like that?
I get a lot of those calls, right? They'll send me the plans and they'll say I have $400,000, and I look at it and it says it's probably a $700,000 house. And the plans are really minimal at that point, right? Because when they're ready for pricing. I see that a lot of times on plans, and it's not actually ready for pricing because a basic plan, I can't get any quotes from subcontractors because nobody wants to price a plan that doesn't have the details that they need, right? So it's just budgeting. It's really just guesstimating a lot of this stuff based on past experience or potential square footages or what we think the details are going to be, because there's so many details that need to be included in a plan. So really it's just a conversation at the beginning. Like I said, it's finding somebody that you trust and having that realistic conversation about what does it actually cost to build a custom home or renovate your home in your area, right? Because where you're watching this or where you're listening to this, it may not be the same pricing. Maybe labor costs are cheaper or materials are more, or whatever it may be, right? You just need to have that conversation with somebody that you trust. And don't go for the person who's telling you what you want to hear, because what you want to hear may not be what you need to hear. and it may not be true either, right? So be very careful about what you're actually choosing to believe. Conscious decisions.
Feels a little bit discouraging because we're talking very, very big money, right? For general population that we're addressing here, how do you address the discouragement or the expectations that someone brings to the table as a general contractor?
It's setting the appropriate expectations. And I think that's communication. That's how you do a successful project. If I set your expectations to something that's unrealistic, then that's on me as a contractor, right? So it's tricky sometimes because you definitely need to tell people the truth, not necessarily what they want to hear in a lot of cases, but I think it's definitely important. I don't want to tell you, yeah, we can build this for $200,000 and get you to sign on the dotted line, and after say, oh no, sorry, it's actually going to be $400,000. That's not the way I choose to run this business. It's trust. It's a long-term relationship. If you're going to work with somebody on a major renovation or a custom home, it's not like you go buy your phone and you're, even buy a car, which is a fairly large purchase, and then that's it, you're done, and maybe you have some warranty issues and you deal with the shop. It's a long-term relationship. If you're going to do a major renovation and you have your contractor involved earlier in terms of helping with the design, then there's going to be 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, maybe some warranty issues down the road that the contractor needs to deal with. Like, it could be a 3-4 year relationship. And hopefully if they did a good job, you're calling them back later to do more work, right? And we do a lot of phased projects, so you definitely want to make sure that you get along.
What's the solution?
I think the designers need to be watching these videos. They need to read the blog post. I think they need to understand, it's not all of them. I'm not picking apart all designers. Veronica, you're a designer, right? But I think
I've been brainwashed.
It's setting the right expectation in terms of not telling somebody what they want to hear, but getting the right information. So I think if you're the first contact as a designer or an architect, and you're giving a budget to that client, you better make damn sure that budget is appropriate for your area. And if you're telling them something that's unrealistic, they're going to be disappointed. And at the end of the day, they're not going to be happy with you, right? And if they have to do a complete redesign and they have to pay for that, or you're going to charge them for that, well, they probably won't be coming back to do more work after the fact. And who knows, they might not even move ahead with the project, right? I think it's just thinking long term. So what is the solution? I don't know, just educate as a designer. I think you just need to be more in tune with what the construction costs are. If you're not in your area, if you're new to this, obviously things always seem more expensive than what you think they're going to be. Even some of the stuff that I come across, I've been doing this a long time now, but there are certain things that if you haven't done it before, it takes longer, or the material costs more than what you thought, if it's a new product, whatever it may be, right? It's on us as the professionals to make sure that we have the most up-to-date information about whatever it is we're doing. And as a designer, it's important to understand how much it costs to do certain aspects of the build. So work with your contractor, create your team so that you can give the proper information to your client. Maybe they can't teach it in schools. I think that it might have to be self-taught in the sense that wherever you end up, you need to make sure that you make those connections with the contractors or the people that can help you with those things. Because it's true, like if I were to take my business and move to California, it would be completely different. I'd have to retrain myself on what it costs to do certain things there. I wouldn't be able to bring the same costing codes and stuff to that area. So it's really understanding your area that you build in. It's not one answer for all. As usual, if you have any questions or comments, post them below if you're watching the video. all of his social media. You can find us all over social media, theconsciousbuilder.com. Whatever's easier for you, email, everything's there. You can find us. Go to theconsciousbuilder.com or post in the comments below. And subscribe to this channel.
Horrible.